Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
The Minnis administration outlines its legislative agenda during the official opening of Parliament. That story straight ahead.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, from a proposed referendum to the reduction of value-added tax on breadbasket items, the newly elected Free National Movement government laid out its ambitious agenda in the speech from the throne delivered by Governor General Dame Marguerite Pinling today in Parliament Square. The Minnis administration also outlining plans to institute term limits for prime ministers, tackle crime, and boost the economy. Our team coverage begins tonight with this report from Jasmine Brown in the lower chamber. Jasmine?
Thanks, Christina. It was the first sitting of the House of Assembly since the May 10th general election as Parliament officially opened today, and the Minnis administration outlined their legislative agenda.
All right.
The opening of Parliament follows the May 10th general election victory of the Free National Movement, which captured 35 of the 39 seats in the House of Assembly. Governor General Dame Marguerite Pinling read the speech from the throne in Parliament Square this morning, laying out the new government's legislative agenda for this term in office. The government plans to hold a referendum on the creation of an independent electoral commission and boundaries commission.
My government will, with the consent of the electorate in a referendum, constitute an independent electoral commission and a boundaries commission, introduce term limits for prime ministers, and introduce a system of recall for non-performing members of parliament. The Office of the Ombudsman will be created to provide a direct source of relief where people have legitimate grievances due to the inactions of government or agency of the government.
The Minnis administration also promises to amend the Public Disclosures Act
to broaden the scope of application to include campaign finance reform and to make provisions for direct referral to an independent prosecutor.
Also included in the speech from the throne is a pledge to reform the legal system by enacting legislation to establish an independent director of public prosecutions.
In support of this endeavor, certain functions now performed by the Attorney General, such as the power to issue fiat authorizing the commencement of legal actions in sensitive matters or a nolle prosequi, will be transferred to Director of Public Prosecutions.
In a bid to restore the people's confidence in public administration, the government also pledged to create a Bureau of Investigations to investigate matters referred by the Governor General, the Ombudsman, and the public. And when it comes to the Office of the Auditor General, there are also plans to put forward plans to establish and strengthen that office so that it can function without government-imposed financial constraints. As for further reforms in the judicial system,
we will improve the efficiency of the judiciary by enacting a Court Services Act to remove the office of the judiciary from the public service, and we will require all magistrates and the judges to attend the newly created Justice Training Institute.
While the speech spent a great deal highlighting parliamentary and legal changes, it also outlined social and economic reforms. Kyle Joaquin has that angle. Kyle.
That's right, Jasmine. The speech also covered the government's plans to address a number of social ills, from crime to unemployment to even the brain drain.
The agenda, ambitious with a plan for reform and modernization, inclusive of a zero-tolerance approach to crime.
My government will enact legislation to address the conditional release of offenders in society through a parole and probation of offenders system. My government will enact legislation to establish a guns and gang unit that will focus on dismantling gangs and disrupting the trafficking in illicit firearms.
According to that speech, the government is committed to building a society where those with the greatest needs are granted the greatest assistance. But the FNM appears to have adjusted its position on value-added tax. Throughout the campaign trail, Minnis stressed the party's plans to eliminate VAT from many consumer and breadbasket items. But in today's speech, there's no mention of an elimination of VAT on breadbasket items. Instead, a reduction.
My government will take action to effect a reduction on value-added tax on breadbasket items.
But there's still the plan for tax-free zones in Over the Hill and certain areas of business.
My government will create tax-free economic zones in these areas to encourage business growth and spur job creation in the redevelopment phase and beyond. These zones will operate in a safe, clean environment, with each zone addressing the socio-economic situation of the area.
There's also the government's plans for a rent-to-own program, an expansive marketing plan for the Bahamas' tourism product, and a plan to clog the brain drain through a national skills register. National health insurance wasn't left out either, the government noting that the current pathway for NHI left by the previous administration will change.
My government supports national health insurance, but recognizes that the present rollout model, which focuses on primary care services, does not address the significant health maladies in our country.
And with the country's new deputy prime minister hailing from the island of Grand Bahama, government appears to have a detailed plan for that island's economic rebound.
My government will repeal and replace the Grand Bahama Port Area Investment Incentives Act 2016 to ensure that all licensees receive equal treatment under the law. My government will focus on the development of Freeport as an offshore technology hub.
Now, immediately after that speech, the opposition held a press conference downstairs in the minority room of the House of Assembly. For that, we go to our George Gervais.
Thanks, Kyle. And with a swift response to the speech from the throne, members of the opposition say they will be there to hold the Free National Movement accountable, especially for those initiatives started under the PLP. Leader of the opposition, Philip Brave Davis, was joined by fellow opposition MPs Glenys Hannah Martin, Picewell Forbes, and Chester Cooper, as well as PLP senators. The PLP leader says many of the ideas put forth by the FNM government seem similar to the policies of the last Christie administration.
We listened intently, and the reality is that the speech from the throne is an acknowledgement of the transformative foundation already constructed by the Progressive Party government. We are encouraged to hear that the government has embraced essential job-related skills training and specialized programs for youth employment.
Davis said the time for campaigning and idle talk is over, adding the Minnis administration will soon learn that running a country is no easy feat. The former deputy prime minister said he is happy the government decided to continue some initiatives introduced by the PLP government, but officials should give credit to those who started them.
We have already laid the foundation for wider access to justice. We created the Public Defender's Office and the statutory ability to appoint more judges. We reduced the time it takes for cases to come to trial. We will support any policies which protect the poor and the vulnerable. We will support any policy in which the national interests are protected and promoted.
Davis also reminded members of the Minnis administration that the foundation has already been laid for them. He urged the government to fulfill its many campaign promises because the PLP will be watching carefully.
The government must now enter the real world of governance and not trash talking from a platform. Governance requires hard choices. It is easy as a critic to stand and promote ideas which have no foundation in fact, but reality has now hit home.
He also cautioned the government against stopping and canceling projects planned to boost Grand Bahama's economy.
The foundation is there, set by the PLP, but the devil is always in the details. It is also important to ensure that the favored few who provided the funding for this government doesn't end up being the main beneficiaries of this government. While the FNM speaks the words of the protection of the poor, we will ensure that the benefits go to the poor and not go to the wealthy. We will be ever watchful and call them out for every time that there's any attempt to reverse the policies put in place to protect the poor, the vulnerable, and the interests of Bahamians.
And while we were getting the opposition's response to the speech from the throne, April Sands was getting the glitz and glamour of the opening of Parliament. April?
Well, thanks, Giorgio. Well, beyond the formalities of today's activities, it's been quite a show otherwise. We got a chance to speak to some of the MP wives who came out in an impressive line of couture. Hats, gloves, and lots of colors. Spouses of newly sworn-in members of Parliament took on the red carpet of Parliament Square, showcasing quite an array of ensembles.
I wanted to be, add a little flavor to the formality of today, so I decided to put a little splash of hot pink in the hat and have a lovely pin made by Bahamian pin maker and designer Pino. I just thought instead of wearing a short jacket or skirt suit, I should wear a longer swing jacket and light georgette material, just to add a lot more formality and style at the same time, my outfit today.
From turquoise to hot pink, invited guests revealed their inspiring pieces, all of them sharing a taste of cultural influence. A family member of the newly appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs said she was the creator of her own design.
This is mauve. First of all, it's my design. It's mauve with teal green.
Wow, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. You look amazing.
I wanna send kudos to my designer.
It was a lineup of decorative designs featuring a daring display of color combinations.
Well, I know this is a very important day for the country and also for my husband and our family. And I wanted to wear something as vibrant as this country is beautiful. I'm very inspired by art, so I wanted it to not be too subdued and really to pay homage to a very important day of national celebration.
But it wasn't just the women who came all decked out. Quite a few men took a few fashion risks of their own, like this showstopper in the audience. And then there was new Member of Parliament for Exuma and Ragged Island, Chester Cooper, who put a few extra inches on his coattail for an added oomph effect. Well, it's been nothing less of a spectacular day here at Parliament Square. And now we're going to kick it back to you, Christina.
Thanks, April. When our news returns, we have more coverage of the opening of Parliament. Stay with us.